It's Thursday, September 15th, and this is now on HNN.
Breaking news, Hawaii County Police arrest a man following the discovery of a body in Hawaiian Beaches.
China-Russia ties deepen as the two presidents meet in Uzbekistan.
Some other industries got a little ahead of us during the pandemic.
Waikiki hotels are scrambling to fill hundreds of positions as international travel returns.
I wound up here in Hawaii about 9 years ago, and I've been stoked ever since.
Plus, I get to chat with a new survivor castaway from Oahu. That's coming up on This Is Now. We're getting started with this breaking news. The local businessman at the center of the public corruption scandal that rocked the state ledge has been charged by federal prosecutors.
That's right. Milton Choi, the owner of H2O Process Systems, faces a single count of bribery for allegedly paying more than $2 million in bribes to a former Maui official. Stuart Stant worked for Maui County's Department of Environmental Management and was appointed director in 2015. U.S. Attorney Claire Connors says between October 2012 and December 2018, Stant was given payments and gifts from Choi, such as cash, gambling chips, travel, and hotel benefits to ensure H2O received lucrative wastewater service and equipment contracts. During that time period, Stant allegedly assisted in directing at least 56 sole contracts to Choi with a value of nearly $20 million. Stant, who has not been DEM director since December 2018, has been charged with conspiracy to deprive the public of their right to honest services. Now back to Milton Choi. While he has been charged in this case, he was not charged for the bribes paid to disgraced former lawmakers, State Senator Jay Kalani English and State Rep Ty Cullen. Choi's attorney said he had been cooperating with federal investigators at the time those bribes were paid. The U.S. Attorney's Office will be holding a 1 p.m. press conference today on these charges. We'll bring it to you live on all your HNN digital platforms.
And we've got more breaking news. Hawaii County Police have arrested a man following the discovery of a body in Hawaiian Beaches. Police responded to reports that people were at a house that was under renovation, and upon arrival, they found the body of a female in the backyard with various injuries, according to authorities. Officers arrested a man on the property on suspicion of burglary. Now, roads in the area were closed for some time as the investigation was ongoing, but they have since reopened. We're going to have much more about this still very much developing story on later editions of HNN and, of course, on your Hawaii News Now digital platforms. New details to pass along regarding the suspect arrested in connection with the murder of a woman in Waikiki 50 years ago. 77-year-old Tudor Chirilla had his initial arraignment this morning in Nevada. He was taken into custody earlier this week at his home in Reno. In 1972, a 19-year-old Nancy Anderson was found dead with multiple stab wounds at her home on Aloha Drive. At the time, Chirilla was a UH grad assistant. His DNA matched a sample found on a blood-stained towel recovered from Anderson's apartment. Up next, there will be another hearing. That's when we'll find out if Chirilla will fight extradition.
A Hawaii man accused of stalking teens online and distributing child pornography appeared in U.S. District Court in St. Louis, Missouri today. Officials said Gerardo Javier Montez was arrested in Hawaii on July 29th and arrived in St. Louis on Tuesday. The indictment alleges that the 31-year-old distributed child pornography online. Between December 2021 and January of this year, Montez is also accused of trying to persuade a 14-year-old girl to send him nude pictures of herself and threatening to post nude photos of her that he already obtained. When she refused, the pictures were posted. An attorney also said Montez targeted other minors in different states, some of who were in chat rooms or messaging boards discussing suicide or depression. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping met in person for the first time since the war in Ukraine at a summit in Uzbekistan. Now, this comes after Russia has suffered a series of major military setbacks in Ukraine. Ivan Watson has more.
It did not take long in his face-to-face meeting with the Chinese president for Vladimir Putin to address the elephant in the room, his deadly invasion of Ukraine.
We highly appreciate the balanced position of our Chinese friends in connection with the Ukrainian crisis. We understand your questions and concerns in this regard. During today's meeting, of course, we will explain in detail our position on this issue, although we have spoken about this before.
Questions and concerns sounds like a shift in tone from the last time these two leaders met. That was in early February at the start of the Beijing Winter Olympics. And at that time, these two strong men, they clearly shared their distrust and dislike of the U.S. government. They talked about a partnership with no limits. And they basically hinted at creating a new world order that would not be dominated by the U.S. Just a few weeks later, Vladimir Putin launched his invasion of Ukraine, and that war has not gone according to the Kremlin's plan. There have been multiple humiliations of the Russian military. It's been battered, and Vladimir Putin arguably is more internationally isolated than he's ever been. He needs China now more than ever. Now, in the public statements that we've seen so far from Xi Jinping, he has talked in more generic terms about mutual trust, about growing trade ties, and helping Russia and China defend each other's core interests. But we have not heard a full-throated endorsement of Russia's war in Ukraine. And the White House has been quick to pick that up, arguing that when it comes to this partnership with no limits, it seems to come to an end at Ukraine's killing fields. That the White House, the Biden administration, so far has not seen any signs of overt Chinese support for Russia's war machine in Ukraine. Instead, Beijing has been buying discounted Russian energy supplies. The Chinese government has made some shows of support elsewhere and symbolic cooperation when it comes to Russia. We're seeing images and announcements of joint Russian-Chinese naval patrols currently taking place in the Pacific Ocean. Ivan Watson, CNN, Hong Kong.
Now, Rick Fulbaum, he is an anchor at our sister station in Atlanta, Georgia. He is in London right now covering Queen Elizabeth's funeral on Monday and the events leading up to it. Now, Rick, what do we know about Monday's funeral? What can you tell us?
Well, first of all, I guess the most important thing to know, Ashley, is that the Queen herself signed off on all of this. So everything that's going to happen on Monday, the Queen was aware of, had a say in sort of deciding what was going to be done, what kind of readings and hymns are going to be a part of the service on Monday morning. So I guess that's what you get when you live to be 96 years old and you're the Queen. You get to plan your own funeral. It will begin at 11 a.m. local time here in London. It's a service that's going to last for about an hour, and it will take place over my shoulder at Westminster Abbey. This will be the first royal funeral for a sovereign inside Westminster Abbey since the 1700s. So it has been a minute, as they say. There will be about 2,000 people inside, including President and Mrs. Biden, who are traveling to London this weekend. The service is going to last for about an hour. And then after that, the Queen's coffin will be taken out of Westminster Abbey. It will go right by Buckingham Palace one final time before being taken by hearse to Windsor Castle, which is about an hour or so away from here, and that's where the Queen will be buried in a special crypt along with her father, who was the king, her mother, and her late husband, Prince Philip, who died just last year.
Yeah, definitely going to be a historic ceremony there. Now, since the Queen's passing, a lot of the focus has been on the new King, Charles, but what about other members of the royal family? Have we heard from Prince William, who is in line to be the next king?
That's right. He's now next in line for the throne after his father, the new King Charles. And we haven't heard directly from William, but we have heard from people who he has spoken with. These are people that came out to extend their sympathies and well wishes, and members of the royal family came out in front of Buckingham Palace and greeted many of them and had personal moments with a lot of them. And more than one of those people came forward and told reporters that William was very emotional when he came to speak with them. He said that the procession yesterday, where he walked behind his grandmother's casket, was very emotional and conjured up memories from 25 years ago when he walked behind his mother's casket, the late Princess Diana, who died tragically. So this is a very difficult moment for him. And for a lot of people, she was the queen, of course, but she was also a grandmother and a mother.
Right, and definitely a world leader. So let's talk about the British Commonwealth. The Queen ruled over more than just the UK. So will her death mean any changes?
There is some speculation about that, Ashley. The Commonwealth consists of 54 countries that used to be ruled by the UK. They are now voluntarily members of the Commonwealth, and there is some talk that more than a few of them, mostly Caribbean nations, are considering leaving the Commonwealth. There's talk in the Bahamas of a referendum, putting it to a vote so that people can go and decide whether they want to be a part of the Commonwealth much longer. Also, Antigua and Barbuda are two other places that are currently in the Commonwealth but considering leaving it.
All right, Rick Folbaum joining us from London. Thanks for the time, Rick.
Hundreds of positions are now open for hotel workers as tourism rebounds. Our own Annalisa Burgos has more from Waikiki.
American travelers kept hotels afloat during the pandemic, but the industry is still anxious for the return of Japanese visitors and business conferences, and they're going on a hiring spree to prepare. Hawaii's tourism industry is back, but not so much its workers.
Where have all the workers gone? I still don't know the answer. Just a lot of people aren't working. You can see it in the numbers.
Like many businesses in today's economy, hotels are struggling with a labor shortage and an aging workforce. The American Hotel and Lodging Association hopes better benefits and potential for career growth will entice new hires for the holiday travel season.
Some other industries got a little ahead of us during the pandemic and offering higher wages faster and moving to things like instant pay. Our industry has now caught up with that. Your ability to move up in our industry is better today than it's ever been before because so many people left during the pandemic.
The trade group expects Hawaii hotels to rake in $3.9 billion from leisure travel this year, slightly more than in 2019. Business travel revenue is also projected to rebound to $1.7 billion.
We're at about a 10% level of what the travel was from Japan in the past, and we expect that to start ramping up over the next couple of months.
AHLA leaders say about half of Hawaii high school graduates are expected to stay in the state, and they're hoping to tap into that source of local talent.
This laboratory that we have with resorts all over the state become a tremendous opportunity for every single resident that comes out of high school or that's looking for some type of new career here in hospitality.
Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.
Thanks, Annalisa. What do you say we get a check of our weather? Here's Guy Hoggy.
This is the rain model forecast, not really what's happening, what's expected to happen. And then by this afternoon, more pop-up showers there, perhaps also pop-up showers out in Ulupalakua. And then tomorrow in the overnight hours, we'll see some showers come into the central part of the state, really not much. And then tomorrow afternoon, look for more pop-up showers across the state, mainly for those leeward and interior spots. And then Sunday is when we expect more widespread showers coming in across the state, windward and leeward. So Sunday is going to be a little cloudy, a little damp, and trade winds come in at that time. And then we'll see just a normal return of trade wind weather after that. So your 7-day forecast includes hot, humid conditions today, tomorrow, and on Saturday with those light winds. And we'll get pop-up showers late in the day into the early evening. Again, more widespread rain coming in on Sunday. Sunday looks to be pretty wet and pretty cloudy as well.
All right, joining us now in the H&N Digital Studio, Cody Ostenmacher, Survivor 43 cast member. 43, Survivor 43. It's premiering on September 21st right here on KGMB. Thanks for being with us, man. I know you just got back to the islands.
Easy. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. So you have been a resident here for a number of years here on Oahu. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your connection to Oahu.
Yeah. So my name's Cody Ostenmacher. I'm originally from a small town, Preston, Iowa, about 1,000 people. So it's kind of funny because I grew up in a small town of Preston, Iowa, to move to a small island in the middle of the Pacific. So it's a fun story. But moved around the States for a little bit and wound up here in Hawaii about 9 years ago. And have been stoked ever since. It's home for me.
Well, that was going to be my next question right there. Is there been any preparation that you had from living here in Hawaii that prepared you to head over to Fiji for Survivor? Did you have any heads up, or did that help you a little bit, you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's the obvious, right? Fiji's an island, Hawaii's an island. So I had that leg up on the competition and understanding the tropical environment, understanding the ocean, the beach, etc. But I think just the aloha spirit that we have here in Hawaii in being able to be nice and really enjoy each other's company was something that I was going to take as an arrow in my quiver to kind of compete against everyone else. That aloha spirit, that friendliness, is something that is important in the game to create alliances and relationships.
I've never been there, but from pictures, Fiji is gorgeous. What do you think of it?
Yeah, it's just like the pictures. It's a beautiful place. I tell you what, there's one thing that I really missed about being home here in Hawaii, and that's the trade winds, because they do not get that beautiful breeze, and there were some days that are quite humid out there.
A little sweaty on set, huh?
Yeah, man.
All right, so I got some numbers for you. Survivor's been around for 22 years, believe it or not. Again, we're on season 43. There have been 646 cast members or castaways and 639 torch snuffs, I should say. So have you always been a fan of the show? Like I said, I remember watching it season 1 in high school, loving it, been a fan since. Didn't catch all the seasons, but here and there caught some. Have you always been a fan?
Yeah, my story is a little different, I think, than some of the other people's in being a super fan. And it goes like this. I mean, when it first aired, I can remember my neighbors in my small town of Preston running over next door and saying, "Hey, you got to watch this. These guys are chasing chickens and playing this game." And we did, and we watched it. Kind of lost it, life happened. And then during the pandemic, I started watching it again, right? Streaming it through Paramount Plus or whatever it was. And began to have that lust. And my little brother is a videographer, and I can remember sitting on the couch one day and just saying, "Brah, I can do this." So we put together a video, and things escalated quickly.
So your brother helped you make the audition tape?
Correct.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about your audition tape? What do you think gave you the leg up and let you be picked?
I know what gave me the leg up, and it was at one point I was dressed up. I had this Woody costume that I always wear
from Toy Story.
From Toy Story, as a grown man, and I wore it. I wore it as a Halloween one year, and then have just worn it throughout my life, just on funny occasions. And I had him take a video of me out on the end of Magic Island, talking and dancing, and that was part of my clip of the video. And I think that was the one where they said, "Yep, we got to call this guy."
I think you have to be sort of an adventurer, a survivalist. That's what I think of people who are on the show. Is that how you describe yourself? You've been a lot of places, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to have a little bit of a thirst of adventure to do it because, especially living in Hawaii, let's be honest, there's no reason to go to Fiji and starve and be bored and go through this crazy social experiment when we have it right here in Hawaii. So, yeah, you have to be a little bit thrill-seeking, adrenaline junkie type of a personality to do it, to leave everything behind and go put yourself on a remote island.
What's it been like being back at home?
There's definitely a transition. It's, from having that adrenaline, that excitement, that, sadness or excitement, having all those emotions And then coming back to reality here in Hawaii, it's been a little bit of a transition, but it's a good one to come back to Hawaii to have it.
And what are your favorite adventure spots here on Oahu? What's your go-to places?
So I live on the South Shore, and I love anything on the South Shore. I love going Kaimana Beach. I love cruising the South Shore Loop, going around to Waimanalo, all the Sandies, all that stuff. So I'm a big South Shore guy. I enjoy the surf on the South Shore. I enjoy the beaches on the South Shore. And I enjoy going into town and enjoying a few adult beverages and going out with friends. So
Yeah, I was at Kaimana's yesterday visiting our monk seal friend. So
yeah, he's down there a lot.
Yeah, love it. All right, gotta say, we have another cast member on this year's show who is an Oahu resident, Gio Bustamante. You didn't know him before the show, right?
Correct.
No.
No.
Well, I hope you made a new friendship there, and we hope to catch up with him as well as we continue to cover the next season of Survivor, season 43, that debuts right here on KGMB September 21st. Let's toss it back over to Ashley with more news.
The only all-female wrestling league with a global footprint is returning to the ring. Danya Backus has an inside look.
Randy Rah-Rah, roll through. Nice kick.
Women of Wrestling is back.
And there you see it.
Wow, the all-female sports franchise is once again hitting the ring with new superheroes and some returning rivalries. WOW is owned by Jenny Buss, president of the Los Angeles Lakers, and was created by David McLean, founder of the original Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
It's amazing. It's been over a 30-year journey of mine to see that women athletes get the platform they deserve in professional wrestling.
I want young women to see these strong role models to inspire them that anything is possible.
Both say the show is more than body slamming action. WOW is a league where representation reigns.
Our roster is amazing. We have different ethnicities, different cultures. Everyone's going to shine and bring something to the tables.
And each episode brings an inside look at the superheroes.
I think the cornerstone of WOW is the stories that we tell, the narratives that are illuminated.
You'll see someone you recognize. You'll relate to somebody on this show.
But of course, there will be drama.
What can we expect this season?
Well, a lot of strong women, strong personalities. People might clash, but I think that just shows, the breadth of personalities that we do have. And so there might be some drama, there might be some intrigue, there might be some friendships, new things that form.
The new season of WOW airs this weekend. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Let's get to some trending news from the world of tennis. A lot of people posting about this today, and it's coming in just a few hours ago, overnight really. 20-time Grand Slam champion Roger Federer is hanging up his racket. In a post on social media, he announced his retirement from competitive tennis. He said he was given a special talent to play tennis and reach levels he really never imagined. But Federer also said he has realized his body's limit after playing more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. That's a long career. He said he will continue to play tennis in the future, but just not Grand Slams or on tour. Federer's last ATP event will be in London next week. Yes. Yeah, you can tell
Serena,
I know a lot about tennis, right?
Federer, yeah.
But it says something. I mean, we lost him and Serena, right? So a lot of changes, a lot of room there in the world of tennis.
It
for
does
a next
take
champ.
its toll on your body.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
You guys, that's going to do it for This Is Now. Don't forget, coming up in just over half an hour, we're going to have a press conference involving the breaking news we told you about at the top of the hour, involving the DOJ and those bribery charges with local officials. That's coming up at 1 o'clock. We'll bring it to you live on your H&N digital platforms.